Alrighty, bienvenidos a todos. Gracias por venir. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming and welcome. Today, I'm going to be diving into the family tree building project that I put together for Santiago, Chile. My name is Mike Cross. I am an intern on Family Search's marketing and engagement team. As you can probably tell, I myself am not Chilean. I do speak Spanish, but my wife, however, is from Chile. Her and her family are. I have lots of other friends and family that have served missions in Chile for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and just other more Chilean friends. And I wanted to use this as an opportunity to help serve the Chilean people and help more people connect with their Chilean ancestry. So, as far as metas or goals for this project are concerned, number one is ultimately we're just trying to serve, and who is the perfect exemplar of service? That is Jesus Christ Himself. So, as far as numbers are concerned, they're not the most important thing, but they do kind of help us keep track of how we're doing and how much we're getting done. So, I've set a goal to attach 1,000 records to 1,000 different names and profiles within the Family Search tree and database. Lastly, have fun with this. It's supposed to be a joyous thing. For me, that's kind of exemplified in a chocolate bar. I don't know. It's kind of funny, anyways. I wanted to just start off by sharing this quote from President Russell M. Nelson. If you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I sure hope you know who that is. But he is the prophet of the church. And this quote, I think, exemplifies the importance of doing family history work or the gathering of Israel. So he said, anytime you do anything that helps anyone on either side of the veil, take a step towards making covenants with God and receiving their essential baptismal and temple ordinances, you are helping to gather Israel. It is as simple as that. Now, this being said, if you aren't a member of the church, thank you so much for being here and being willing to serve the Chilean people in this way. There's plenty of psychological and physical benefits for all of us for just simply doing family history. This is something that's shared directly from David A. Wood, but as well, there are multiple studies that express similar findings that specifically in this case, after a 3-month course, these individuals doing family history experienced an 8% improvement in their self-esteem and a 20% reduction in their anxiety. And as David expresses, that's huge. So feel free to use this as kind of like a motivational tool to convince more people to participate in this project and in family history. I know it has a stigma and a stereotype of being not very fun. We're hopefully going to try and change that today. Even if you don't think it's very fun, it's good, hard, honest work, and you're doing it to serve other people. So, all right, so let's dive into some helpful examples before we start looking directly at the Chilean records we'll be attaching to the tree. And first, we're going to use the BYU record linking lab. So I'm going to click into this. I'm going to go into here, into their home landing page. I'm going to scroll down, click on volunteer. Once you click on volunteer, I'm going to then click on this hint button. And this is the 5-star hint button. Now, what is a hint? A hint basically means that Family Search's database has done a lot of hard work for us by finding and determining if a record has a high chance of connecting to somebody on the tree. So thanks to the record linking lab and Family Search's database, they were able to create this hint that we're going to be working with today. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on it. And if you go back and try to use this link, it'll come up with somebody different. I'm just using this as an example, so don't feel like you need to do this as part of the project. This is just to help you get your bearings for what we're doing, because this example will be more complicated than what we're doing. So don't feel stressed if you don't understand some of the things that I talk about with this. Anyways, after clicking on that hit button, this takes us to the source linker page. And here you can see on the left side, it references all the information within a record that will be attaching to people within the family tree over here on the right side. If you wanted to, you could also click to view the image of the original record. For me, I am terrible at reading cursive, so I'm very grateful. It just pops up all the information for us digitally as well. You can click on view record, and that will allow you to view more specifics of what Family Search was able, or an indexer was able to pull out of this record, so that way we could easily look at it. Now, the goal with the source linker page is to determine if this record referenced on the left side does indeed pertain to these people already existing in the tree on the right side. However, as you can notice, there's other people listed on the record, as well as this person that's listed on the record. His name is Will, and he is not potentially not yet added to the tree at all. So even though we have a record for him, he doesn't have a person profile in the tree. So we're going to start off by first looking at Walter Stewart, because we want to make sure that Walter Stewart on the record matches up with this Walter Stewart that's already in the tree. So in order to compare their information more closely, we're going to click on this purple attach button. That's going to have this drop down, and now we're going to start looking at this. So first things first, we're going to look at his name, Walter Stewart. Walter Stewart matches up. He's indeed a male. And now we're going to look at his birth date. So over here, according to the record, I'm pretty sure this is a census record, and it's estimating his birth to be 1921 in Tennessee. Whereas over here on the right side, there was another record that was more legitimate, or more detailed, I guess is a better way to say it, for his birth record. Because over here on this left side is because it's most likely just an estimate, even though the birth years don't match perfectly. 1921, 1920, that's in the ballpark. I think within about a 5-year range, it's a pretty safe bet to assume they're the same person if everything else matches up, obviously. So with the name of his mom and different things, I feel pretty confident. So we're going to go ahead and keep moving forward, and we're going to add all this specific information from the record now to his person profile. So we're going to add that he was single, we're going to add his race, and we're going to add his residence where he lived at the same time. Now that we've added this information, it's going to pop up on his person profile once we hit attach. So once that loads, that's great. And now you can see there's a detach button in case you need to go back and adjust any thing you may have forgotten to do. So now we're going to look here at Beulah. Hope that's how you say her name. And we're going to compare their information. Now you can see Beulah's last name, there's a little discrepancy because over here her last name is Wilson, and on this left side, on the record side, her last name is Stewart. That may appear to be incorrect, and you may quickly think, well, it's not the same person. But if you look at Beulah's husband, and his last name is Stewart, and it's Stewart over here, there's a high likelihood that on the census record, her last name was recorded as Stewart because her husband's last name is Stewart, whereas her maiden name is indeed Wilson. With Family Search, we like to make sure that most of the time, at least with English names, that the maiden name is always attached to female person profiles, if that makes sense. Okay, so name matches up, everything looks good. So again, we're going to add specific information over birth date, marital status, race, and residence. Once we do that, now going to hit attach. One thing I did forget to mention, and I'm actually going to detach this really quickly just so I can show you because I forgot to do so earlier. When you go into here, say for example, if there was a misspelling in her name and you were really confident that her name needed to be spelled in a specific way, you could click on this little pencil icon, which will pop up this page and then allow you to kind of change her name or edit things that way. As well, you could also include some information for why you think that name change would be correct. However, in this case, it looks good, so I'm just going to X out. I'm going to add race back in again and hit attach. Okay, so now that's attached, and we're going to jump down to Will H. Schneider, who's Walter's brother, that doesn't appear to have a pre-existing profile for him in the tree. So we're simply going to add him, and it's going to pop up this Add to Tree sidebar, and it's already going to have all his information inputted. He was born in 1902, which is good. It means there's a high likelihood that he's already deceased. And what I mean by that is when doing family history and working with Family Search, we typically use a 110-year rule. And what that implies is you typically don't want to be, unless you're absolutely certain a person is deceased, you don't want to be messing with someone's information if they were born within the last 110 years. In the case of Walter, technically he was born within the last 110 years, but we already have a death record for him, so we know he is in fact deceased. With Will H. Schneider, technically we don't really know if he's deceased, but because it's been at least 110 years, we can assume that he is deceased. If he's still kicking, Will, you go, dude, keep living your life. But for us in this case, we're going to assume that he is in fact deceased. So again, that is the 110-year rule. So now we're going to scroll down to the bottom. We're going to hit create new person, and it's going to automatically create a new person profile for him over on this right side. Now we will add his specific information, and then we will hit attach. And so now once we've done that, these three individuals listed on this record are now attached to the family tree. So I'm going to exit out of these really quickly. And now we're going to come back to the slides. Another helpful example I wanted to include before we start diving into Chilean names are these icons. And this link is now going to take us to here. I'm going to X out on that right sidebar, and it's going to take us to a data set I just kind of found for names from Georgia. I served my mission there, so that's kind of why I chose that. But when I mention icons, I particularly mean, and I'm referencing these little images over here on the right side. And when we come into and now when we come into this page, we're seeing a data set that I just chose it as an example from Georgia. I served my mission in Georgia, so that's why I chose that. Anyways, now we're going to scroll down to the bottom to reference these icons that I've been talking about that you see here on the right side. These names over here reference an individual that is listed within a record. And these icons tell us a little bit more about this record. So the little paper icon basically just means you can click on it and view the specific record details. And that's the information that Family Search, again, has pulled in from the hard paper copies of this record and uploaded it so that we could evaluate it in an easy to read format. But if you would like as well, or if there's any questions, you can also click on the image on the little camera icon to view the original image of the record. This little person icon down here, if you see this attached to a, well, if you see it alongside a record, it basically means the same thing as that we were just working with. It's a hint. So there's a high likelihood that this record pertains to somebody that's already pre-existing within Family Search's database. If you see this icon, I'm going to call it the linker icon. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but it means that this record is already attached to a individual within the Family Search database. It's already attached to a profile. So this is the goal for what we're going to be doing with the Chilean database that we'll be working with, is making sure that all of the records referencing people are attached to a person profile for them within Family Search. Okay, so now I'm going to X out of that. We're going to come back into the slides once again. And before we start diving into Chilean names, I just wanted to include this slide. For those of you who have seen Spider-Man, you know who Uncle Ben is. And he's quoted with saying, with great power comes great responsibility. And I just include this slide to emphasize the importance of what we're doing. Please take this very seriously. There is opportunity to make some big mistakes that could cause some big headaches for people down the road trying to connect with their ancestors. And I don't say this to scare anybody away. It's okay if you're not very experienced. We're here to learn and to grow. But I do want you to take this as seriously as possible to increase the chances that individuals today can better connect with their Chilean ancestors. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me or reach out to other individuals that are very familiar with family history so that way you can get extra help if you need it. But now we're finally going to start diving into the Chilean names and this project. So you should have access to the Google Slides if you don't reach out to me or to the person that you got this video from, so that way they can get this to you. But we're primarily going to be working from this Google Sheets link to keep track of our progress. So I just took a bunch of screenshots of steps as well, so that way y'all can go back after this video is over and quickly reference the steps you need to take when attaching records to the family tree. So you can go ahead and click on that Google Sheets link and it will pop up with this page. So as you can see, we're working on a data set that pertains to death records for the 1890s. And now we're going to dive into what each of the specifics within this Google Sheets means and why it's there. So page over here on that left side references the page we'll be working with in the data set. Within this large data set, each page will be home to 20 specific records. And so when you're going through working on these things, as you can see, which I've done here, you're going to put your name right next to what page you'll be working on, and then you will put IP for in progress. Okay. So that being said, each page is going to have 20 records, and that's why when you start working on it, put IP. So that way, if you just want to work on it one Sunday night and finish it the following Sunday or something like that, you can come back and keep working on it. And that way we're making sure that we're not having people working on the same names over and over and over again. Okay. So once you do that, that's what IP stands for. IP stands for in progress with regards to the status of that page you're working on. And D will ultimately stand for done when you have completed all 20 names. However, if you are working on something or something seems weird, I've had a couple instances where I've come across names that weren't really names, that were just describing stillborns. If you have anything like that, just put a question mark. That way, myself or somebody else that's a little more experienced with family history can go back and look at that and figure out that issue you had. But if you mark it with a question mark, somebody else will go back and take care of it. So again, it's okay if you get stuck, just exit out of it and somebody else will go back and look at it later. Now to access the data set, you're going to go ahead and click on that link, and you'll see these little graphics as we go along with my slides that reference where you should click or if you should scroll up or down, etc. So we'll come to this page. As you can see on the top right, just go ahead and exit out of that add ancestor information sidebar, and it's going to pull you up to the first page of our data set. So as you can see with the filter listed there, we're working with death records for individuals that passed away during the 1890s in Santiago, Chile. So according to the graphic on the right side, we're going to scroll down. When you scroll down on the bottom left and bottom right, there's two crucial things you need to change before you start working with the data sets. So results per page, like I mentioned, we need to set that to 20 results per page. On the bottom right, you're obviously going to change the page number to the page that you're working with. So I changed the bottom left to 20, the page to 4, because that's the page I'm working with today. And now I'm going to scroll back up to the top. And today we're going to be working with Juana de Dios Pastel. As you can see, according to the icons, she doesn't have that tree linker icon we were talking about, or the little person, the hint icon. So it means, one, we need to add her to the tree because she's not already there. There's no hint for her, meaning that we need to create a new person profile for her, and this record isn't attached to the tree at all. So when we do this, you're going to want to go ahead and click right click on Juana de Dios Pastel, or for me it's Juana, for you it's going to be somebody else, but you'll right click on their information and then you're going to open up a new tab with her record. So you'll go ahead and now click on that tab. When you click on that tab, it's going to pull up the record page with all of her information listed out. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave that there for now. Now we're going to open up a new tab. I apologize, my face is blocking it, but you'll click on the plus sign on your computer, open up a new tab, and then you'll log into Family Search. If you don't already have an account, you need to create one for Family Search. I apologize if I haven't mentioned that already. It's really easy. You can even use your Google account. So when you get to the landing page after you've logged in, you can then go and click on Family Tree. Once you click on Family Tree, you'll then click on Recents. And so this is roughly what your page will look like. I just blotted out some of my personal information, but now we're going to scroll down to the bottom of the recently viewed people page. Once we do that, we're going to click on Add Unconnected Person. When you click on that, this page is going to pop up. I apologize. The next step, my face is blocking it again. Now what we're going to do is we need to create a split screen between this Add Unconnected Person page and the record tab that we're referencing. So you need to get in the spot where it looks something like this. If you don't know how to split your screen so you can look at multiple tabs at the same time, YouTube it, just pull it up online. There's lots of tutorials. If you are still stuck, please reach out to me and I can walk you through that, or one of your or any other friends or family. Lots of people know how to do it. But we have had some people express that that's difficulty for them. So don't let that stop you. Please reach out if you do need extra assistance. Okay. So when we get to this page, we're now comparing Juana's record with the Add Unconnected Person page, and we're going to put her information in. Now, one thing that I want to express, and for those of you that are Hispanos or that are Chilenos, you probably already know this, but if you're unfamiliar with Chilean and many Hispanic names, oftentimes, obviously, there's lots of names that are attached to the first name quite frequently because last names are often formatted in a way that shares both their father's last name and their mother's last name. With English names, particularly my name is Michael Timothy Cross, there's three names, so you can assume that the middle name is that Timothy is my middle name because it's the second one mentioned. However, if I was Hispanic or Chilean and my name was Michael Timothy Cross, there's a higher likelihood that Timothy would actually refer to my first last name and Cross would refer to my second last name. So in this case, with Juana, Juana de Dios Pasten, Juana is Juana's first name, and then De Dios is kind of one of her first last names, and Pasten is her second last name in this case. So keep that in mind, especially if you're not very familiar with how last names work in the Chilean culture. So now once we come to here, you'll input if they're female and deceased. Again, we're working with just deceased individuals, so we're not going to run into that issue with the 110-year rule in this case. So go ahead and scroll down. And when we get to this point, it might be tempting to add the burial or death information, but don't do that quite yet because it'll be a lot easier later on. Then go ahead and click next. Once you hit next, this page will pop up on the right side and you'll hit create person. Now, this person profile has been connected for Juana, and we need to attach the record as seen on the left side of the screen to her person profile. So now we're going to hit attach to family tree. And on the right side, if you go back and if you click on her person ID, that's what the GRRPLH1 is. It'll be different for every individual. It's a unique person ID. Go ahead and left click on that and it will copy it to your clipboard. Once you copy it to your clipboard, you'll paste it on that bottom left bar, and then you will hit select. Now, what this is doing is it's in the process of attaching the record to her person profile. Now, just like we did before, but it's a lot more simple, you'll click on the purple attach button, and we don't really need to compare because we know this is Juana, right? We just made her person profile. So we'll add her birth and her burial, and then we'll scroll down to the bottom. So now you can see her birth and her burial are attached to her person profile. And now we'll hit attach with that blue button to formalize it. Okay, so now her record is attached. Okay, so when we get to this point, you'll go ahead and X out of that, and we're going to pull up Juana's just standard profile. In some cases, you'll see a green temple here, and if you're a member of the church, that would mean that you could actually take their names to the temple. However, for the scope of this project, our goal is not to be taking their names to the temple. Our goal is to just be getting their information on Family Search, so that way people today can connect with their ancestors. So don't worry about feeling like you have to take their names to the temple. That's not the goal of this project. So anyways, when you get to here, go ahead and X out of Juana's tab. And now because we saved this page and we didn't close out of it because we opened up that separate tab, we still have access to the database. It should look like this with the little linker icon there. If that's not there, refresh the page and it should pop up to something like this. And now you can see because we have the linker icon that tells us that this record and fauna is attached to the family tree, meaning her posterity and her great grandchildren can find her within the family tree, which is awesome. That's the goal of what we're doing. And as you can see, now we would move down to Maria and Julio and keep working on all these individuals' names until we complete all 20 within this page. Once you complete all 20 within a page, again, you don't need to do it in one setting. You would go back and change IP to done or IP to question mark if you came across anything that you just weren't sure how to do. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like the only thing I'll emphasize with this Google Sheets page, it is open and anybody can access it, hence why y'all will be going in and adding your name as a volunteer and different things. So just be careful that you don't accidentally delete anything. If you do, it's okay. We'll figure something out. But just be careful editing on this page. Use Control Z in case you delete something you weren't supposed to. Okay. But ultimately, thank you guys so much. I know this video was kind of long. I just wanted to give you some good examples and put you off, hopefully on the right foot. So when you're doing this, you have a good experience. And again, have joy with this. Once you complete your 20, go get yourself a chocolate bar. But truly, and more importantly, you are helping people connect with their Chilean ancestry. So thank you for your time. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Use the slide deck and go back as a quick reference in case you get tripped up on how to do specific things. But buena suerte and good luck. Ciao.